Evening all. Today we will discuss about the hybrid electric vehicle model development and simulation using the software called GT Suite. So moving on to the agenda, we will first see the general topic in which we discuss about the introduction and motivation of hybrid electric vehicles and the types of hybrid electric vehicle. When I say types here, it is based on powertrain and based on the amount of electrification. So then we will get into the series hybrid development, where we focus mainly on series hybrid architecture along with a process flowchart. So this process flowchart will have conversion of internal combustion engine vehicle to a series hybrid vehicle. So how we are going to do that will be explained in this process flowchart. Then finally, we will get into the software of GT model development and simulation, where we will take an example internal combustion engine model and convert it into a series hybrid model. Then we will discuss the result, and this result will focus mainly on fuel economy improvement. So by converting an existing internal combustion engine model to series hybrid vehicle, so how much amount of fuel economy benefit we get. In the end, as Nageshwar explained, we will have a question and answer session for 15 minutes. So please note your questions then and there. We will discuss in detail at the end. So moving on, let's begin. So why the current OEMs started manufacturing hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles when they can get good return on investment for their previous best-selling designs? Yes, it is because of the push from the governments. So the governments, which was focused more on tailpipe emissions before, has included CO2 in its asset now. So currently, the government dictates how much amount of fuel consumption can be made in a drive cycle. Okay, sorry. So what is CAFE? CAFE is nothing but corporate average fuel economy. So this is a regulation developed by many countries, including developed and advanced countries. So this is the regulations which mainly is developed for CO2 norms. So this is also available in India. So for example, we have a CAFE regulations from April 2017 to 2021. So first limit is 130 gram per kilometer. So from April 2022, we are further reducing our CO2 targets to 113 gram per kilometer. So in terms of fuel efficiency, we have to be 30% more efficient from 2022. If you see on the right side plot, so this is a CAFE CO2 limit of various countries. So the left side indicates grams of CO2 per kilometer and right side indicates liters per 100 kilometers. So if, for example, if you see South Korea, the limit is 97. So USA, it is setting the limit as 97 at 2025. So I'll take an example of Europe. So it is already 95 gram per kilometer from Jan 2020. So from the last year itself, they have started following this regulation. Okay, they have set a regulation. What if we are not following it? It results in a huge penalty. So 95 euros for each gram over the limit for each vehicle sold. So for example, you sell 1 lakh vehicles in 2020 and you exceed 1 gram over the limit. That is, instead of 95 gram per kilometer, we emit 96 gram per kilometer. Then we pay a penalty of 95 lakh. So which is a huge amount. So in addition to legislation, what is the other motivation factor for getting a HEV or EV? It is the fun part. So the EV gives an instant thump when you press the accelerator because of its torque, because of the instant torque. So because of this instant torque, you get a faster acceleration. So that is a thump which is unmatched for. On an additional note, the fastest car of any kind is electric car. So when I say any kind, this includes supercars like Bugatti Veyron, Porsche Spider. So including all kind of cars, the fastest car is Tesla Model S. So it can travel from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.4 seconds. So when I say 60 miles per hour, it is an equivalent of 97 kilometers per hour. Moving on to the types of hybrid vehicle, this is the types based on the amount of electrification. So the y-axis includes CO2 reduction and system cost here, and the x-axis include the extent of electrification. So to start with IC vehicle, I have given an example of Maruti Swift, which is completely based on internal combustion engine. And when you add a little electrification to it, we get micro hybrid, which is Mahindra Scorpio. Then a little more of electrification will yield you mild hybrid Glanza, which is Balino's brother. Then for HEV, I go to Europe for an example, Toyota Prius. And for plug-in version of Toyota Prius. And finally, for a full hybrid, for full electric, I take Nissan Leaf. So even in India, we are currently having a lot of EV vehicles like Tata e-Nexon, Mahindra e-Vercio, Hyundai Kona, and so on. And if you see this plot here, so this is the vehicle type here, starting from ICE to battery electric vehicle. So in ICE, that is internal combustion engine vehicle, we use 100% hydrocarbon fuel and it runs on 100% combustion engine, propulsion is from. So when you increase the importance of electric motor, the influence of combustion engine comes. And finally, at the end, if you see in the battery electric vehicle, the battery is 100% power source is from battery and propulsion 100% is from the electric motor. So when I say the importance of electric motor is more, what does it do in each variant, in each vehicle type? For mild hybrid, it just assists you in auto start stop. For micro hybrid, for mild, it also does the engine assist. Engine assist will be handy when you are doing the overtaking stuff. And for HEV, the battery can withstand for around 30 to 40 kilometers. So the engine can drive independently later, or it can do the combination of both. For PHEV, we can recharge the battery off grid. That is, with the help of the grid externally, we can recharge the battery. REE is nothing but range extender electric vehicle, which uses an inbuilt generator. And the battery electric vehicle and the fuel cell electric vehicle. To give you an example of range extender electric vehicle, I use Kicks e-Power, Nissan Kicks, which is recently launched in Thailand. And for FCV, Toyota Mirai, that is a famous example for the fuel cell vehicle. Moving on to the types of electric vehicle, moving on to the types of hybrid vehicle based on powertrain. So I have listed 4 major types. So first one is parallel. So as the name indicates, both motor and the engine can power the wheels here. So when the first clutch is engaged, the electric motor can transmit the power directly to the wheels. So when the battery juice gets low or when there is a demand for additional power, the engine kicks in. So when the engine kicks in, this additional clutch, the second clutch is also locked up and the power is transferred from engine to the wheels. So here, since the engine is having an independent clutch here, during regeneration, this clutch can be disengaged to get the maximum regeneration out of the kinetic energy. So the advantage of here is that we can use a small engine and small motor to get a very good performance of a big engine car. The disadvantage here is that the control system, the control study is a little bit complex since we have multiple components involved. Then we will move on to the split type. In this split type, each power source takes up one axle. For example, the internal combustion takes up the front axle and the battery takes up the rear axle here. So here, the internal combustion engine and the battery doesn't have any link here. So it has to be recharged externally via plug-in stuff. So since we are powering each axle independently, this can be also converted into 4x4. That is, each vehicle can drive on its own. And the important point here is that we need a torque control strategy here to supply an equal torque to all wheels. Then we'll move on to the series hybrid vehicle. So series hybrid vehicle, the engine here acts as a generator alone, and the power to the wheel is supplied only with the electric motor here. So since the engine acts as a generator, it can operate at a steady state at a very good BSFC point. And then finally, for the series parallel type, it combines the advantages of both parallel and series. For example, series is better at city driving conditions and parallel is better at highway driving conditions. So this serial parallel takes the advantages of both. So if you see here, only at series parallel and series condition, we have 2 EMs. 2 EMs is nothing but 2 electric motors. This is because while one electric motor is driving the wheels, the other electric motor acts as a generator. So from the internal combustion engine, this gets the power and stores into the battery, and hence it has two EMs. And there is one more series parallel configuration, which is called as electric continuously variable transmission, ECVT. So which uses planetary gear sets along with electric motor. So that series parallel is mainly used in Toyota Prius. To give you an example for each model, Infiniti Q50 uses one motor two clutch system, parallel system. And for split hybrid, we go to the French automaker Peugeot 3008. And for the series hybrid, I take the Nissan Kicks e-Power again. And for the series parallel, I would like to quote Honda Accord IMMD, which means Intelligent Multi-Mode Drive. Okay, then we'll switch on to our main topic, series hybrid development. So this is the topic of today's interest. So what is our objective here? So I want to convert a ICE car, that is a car which is driven by a gasoline engine, to a series hybrid vehicle here. So what do I get out of it? So I want to improve the fuel economy by 25% in the NEDC cycle. So what is the methodology I'm going to follow? First, for this, I need a vehicle model because I'm going to convert that into a hybrid vehicle. So when I say vehicle model, it has to be validated with the test data. So a validated vehicle model is necessary as first step. Second step, battery motor selection. So what is the target I'm going to set for my hybrid stuff to achieve that target? So based on that, I will select these battery and motors. And the important step is the control strategy. So this is very important in such a way that, for example, we have suppliers like LG Chem for battery, which supplies to GM, Ford, Tesla. So what differs? So though the components are same, the performance is different. That is because of the different control strategy they use. So once we design the control strategy, we validate our result by digital validation for a drive cycle. So before I go to the architecture, why series hybrid? So there are a lot of hybrids we saw before. Why we mainly focus on series hybrid? So when we say electric vehicle or hybrid vehicle, the first point of anxiety comes with range. So in series hybrid, range is not a concern anymore because we have an inbuilt generator. Second point, we have this is motor driven. So motor driven is instant torque. So if you have an instant torque, the drivability feels like electric. And since we are operating the engine at steady state, we can choose the best operating point with lowest BSFC, which we call it as sweet spot. And since only motor is directly connected to the wheels, so the series hybrid is very good for the city driving conditions. That is, we eliminate part load operations and idling driving conditions, which takes a very big toll in the engine fuel economy. And no charging infrastructure is needed. Since we use engine as the generator, we do not need any external infrastructure. So easy marketability. And finally, smaller battery is sufficient for this requirement because we have a engine to recharge it always. So less investment. So we go into the series hybrid architecture here. So we have, as any series hybrid architecture, we have a generator, motor, engine, and battery pack. So we also have a bidirectional inverter, which performs DC to AC conversion and AC to DC conversion. That is during traction and during regeneration. Okay, so the blue color line indicates the mechanical link, and the dotted line indicates the electrical link. So how does the flow go here? First, the chemical energy from the fuel is converted to electrical energy via engine and generator, and that electricity is stored in the battery pack. This battery pack supplies power to the traction motor to drive the wheels. So whenever there is a braking happening and whenever there is a scope for regeneration, this traction motor will act as a generator and give back the power to the battery. We have two battery pack here. One is high voltage battery and another one is low voltage battery, that is 12 volt battery. High voltage auxiliary systems like HVAC, power steering unit will be connected to the high voltage battery pack, and wiper, lighting, car audio, that is the low voltage audio auxiliary systems will be connected to the 12 volt battery pack. we crank, that is we start the engine with 12 volt battery pack. In addition to this, we also have an ECU. So this ECU is mainly for control strategy management. I would say SOC management, torque management, thermal management. So those kind of controls and control strategies this ECU will take care. So we will see the flow chart for the series hybrid vehicle. So what is a flow chart? Flow chart is a step-by-step process we follow. So for the first step to convert an ICE vehicle, so we need an ICE model, validated vehicle model. So when I say a validated engine model, we need to have a test data with which the model is validated with. So with this, we will have a target torque and target fuel economy to check, and also the performance benchmarking like top speed, what is the time taken to reach 0 to 100 kilometer per hour. So those kind of stuff, we will be matching it with the test data. So once the model is matched with the test data, we call it as a validated model. So for this activity, we need a vehicle model to be ready. The next step is to select a suitable battery and motor to match this performance. So to match this target torque and to match this performance of top speed and 0 to 100 kilometer time. So what is the size of the motor I need? So for that, we need to select a suitable series hybrid architecture. So that can be done through literature survey or by studying the competitor by using market research. So before concluding the spec of motor and battery, we also need to estimate the amount of auxiliary loads, what will be the regen potential we have, and what are the motor and battery design limitations, that is how much, in what temperature it can operate, or what is the maximum RPM for the motor it can be efficient. So those kind of things needs also to be considered. Once this is done, the third step is to model the unit level modeling. That is, we are modeling motor, generator, and battery independently. Once the unit level modeling is done, we will be integrating it to the engine model and the vehicle model. So once that is done, we come to an important step of control strategy development. So this control strategy has to ensure that we meet all the target performance without compromising on the fuel economy, without compromising on the motor and battery safety. Within the design limitations it has to achieve. For example, we have an optimum operating point for motor and generator. So we have to make sure that we operate only at certain ranges, and we also reach the target by using minimum amount of fuel. So once this is done, we say that the digital series powertrain vehicle model is complete. Then we go on to select the engine operating point. So we have a general rule. So I have taken a map. This is a BSFC map from the example model, dynamic MT from GDPAR. So here the x-axis is BMEP and the y-axis is engine speed. So since the engine is used up as the generator here, we want the engine to operate at a steady state. So only a few operating points. So out of these many operating points, we are going to operate only in few operating points. So how are we going to find that? So this is the BSFC plot. So what is BSFC? The unit of BSFC is gram per kilowatt hour. That is, in order to generate 1 kilowatt hour of power, how much amount of fuel we are going to use. The minimum the BSFC value, the lesser the fuel. So if you see here the green area, these green areas uses less amount of fuel to generate 1 kilowatt hour of power. So we need to select a point from this green zone in order to get maximum savings in the fuel economy. And so in other words, I would say the engine operates at its best efficiency at these places. The highlighted green is the lowest BSFC points, and we are going to choose from these points. Okay. Now we will go into the simulation. So this is the window of the GT power in the GT suit. So this is a classical example of series hybrid model. So here I have replaced the engine model and the vehicle model from the dynamic MT. So dynamic MT, I say, is a gasoline powered vehicle, and I have replaced that engine to this series hybrid example model. So this model has a 2-liter gasoline engine and a generator with 15 kilowatt continuous power and 25 kilowatt of peak power, and a battery is around 28.5 kilowatt hour of juice, and traction motor has 25 kilowatt continuous and 50 kilowatt peak. So at continuous power, the motor will operate within its optimum rating. At peak, it can reach until 50 kilowatt, but it can operate only at a limited period of time because of its limitations, I would say. Else the temperature will increase. So it is recommended to operate motor and generator within this continuous limit. Then we also have a vehicle mass of 1500 kg. And for each component, we have a controller. For example, generator, we have a generator controller. For battery, we have a battery management system. So I'll tell few controllers. So supervisory controller is an important point here, where we give our control strategy here. And this traction motor controller will give us the acceleration torque limit. And this brake controller will give you the friction brake load. So how much amount of torque has to be supplied when the brake is pressed. So then we will discuss the control strategy in detail. So here we have 4 states for our control strategy. State 1, here engine is off. So from SOC of 100% to SOC of 32%, the engine remain in state 1. That is, the engine will be in off condition. When the SOC goes below 32%, the engine will go to the state will go to state 2, and we will start the engine at 1500 RPM and 95 Newton meter torque. So this is the first level of engine operation. So when the SOC reaches 32, we start the engine. And when the SOC goes below 30, that is from state 2 to state 3, the SOC has to go below 30. So in the state 3, that is from state 2, if the SOC goes below 30, we reach state 3. Here we increase the RPM to 2500 and the torque to 125 Newton meter. So if the SOC goes down below further, that is, if it goes less than 28%, then we increase our RPM further to 3500 RPM. So this is a sequential state operation. So in order to go back from state 4 to state 3, the SOC has to reach 30. From state 3 through state 2, it has to reach 32. And for the engine to shut off, it has to reach 30 for SOC. So from state 1, it follows a sequential order. So it will go like this and it will come back like this. So for charge depleting mode from 100 to 32, the engine is off only. For charge sustaining level 1, we operate at 1500, and for level 2, it is 2500, and for level 3, it is 3500. And this is the same BSFC map which I showed before. So for operating at 95 Newton meter and 125 and 135, which operating point it will be selecting from this map is these points. For 1500, around 6 BMEP. For 2500, around 7.5 BMEP. For 3500, around 8.8 BMEP. So these points we select. Now we will move on to the results. So currently we validate this model with NEDC cycle. So when I say NEDC cycle, it has 4 city driving conditions and 1 urban driving conditions with a max speed of 120 km per hour. So the primary requirement of any vehicle is to follow the target vehicle profile. So this is the basic condition for us to validate the model. And second point, in order to compare the fuel economy of a series hybrid vehicle with gasoline powered vehicle, the juice in the battery has to be the same as the start. That is, I cannot start the SOC at 60% and end SOC at 30% and say the fuel economy is good, because it is nothing but an additional form of energy, another form of energy other than fuel. So I cannot consume that SOC and show as an improvement in fuel economy. So if you want to compare a series hybrid vehicle with ICE, I need to have a battery SOC with initial and final SOC within plus or minus 1%. So I start this activity with 32% as initial SOC and 31.7% as final SOC. So the difference is plus or minus 1. So we can compare our models for the fuel economy improvement. So here we are checking for the control strategy check. So currently for this model, we are going from state 1 to state 2. That is, from state 1 engine off and state 2 is engine on, and it will run at 1500 RPM. So the upper part of the graph is battery SOC and the lower part of the graph is engine speed. So we start with 32%, and when the charge goes down below 32%, the engine starts to operate at 1500 RPM. It gets on and operates at 1500 RPM constantly. And when it reaches 34%, the control strategy asks the engine to shut off. So we have reached the upward threshold, so you can shut off. Then for the traction to continue, the electric motor takes the juice from the battery, and the battery SOC drops from 34 to 32. When it reaches 32, since it goes below the limit, the engine kicks in again. But if you see here, in the initial part, when the battery is charging, that is when the engine is running, our SOC keeps on increasing until this point. But if you see in the end part, though the engine is running, but the battery SOC continues to deplete. We'll find why. So for this battery SOC analysis, we use in this plot we use battery SOC and generator power. So when we are operating constantly at 1500 RPM, the demand from the generator is around 7.7 kilowatt. So during the first portion, as we discussed already, the SOC starts to increase. So why we are having a depletion of charge at the end? We'll see. So I have added the traction motor power also here. So if you see during the first 500 seconds, though we have the power demand of 10 kilowatt, but it is an on and off demand. That is, it is not, the demand is not continuous, and it is only at those peaks. So for example, if you see, until this point, the SOC is good, that is, it is recharging, but when it is having a peak, it takes a dip here. So since the power demand is not continuous and the battery the power generated by the generator is high, we see an increasing inclination in the battery SOC. But if you see at this point, so the first 800 second is city driving condition, and from 800 to 1200 is urban driving conditions. So in order to follow the vehicle speed, the demand of the electric motor is high. So at this point, it takes around 20 kilowatt, and at this point, it takes around 25 or 24 kilowatt. So the power supplied is only 7.5 kilowatt. So since the power taken, that is power consumed, is more than the power supplied, we are seeing a dip in the SOC. And this place, why are we seeing a increase in the SOC charges? Because of the regeneration. In addition to the power generated by the generator, we are also capitalizing on the regeneration event here. So net SOC is the result of motor power demand and the generator power supply. Hence, there is SOC drop even when the generator is on. When I say generator is on, it is engine is on. Okay, then we will move on to regeneration. So what is regeneration? Regeneration is nothing but utilization of your kinetic energy, that is the vehicle's kinetic energy, to generate electricity. So whenever there is a deceleration, there is a need to brake. So whenever we are braking, we are wasting that kinetic energy as heat. But with the help of electric motor, we can turn it into a generator and we can store it in the battery as a current. So if you see, whenever there is a declination here, we will have an increase in the SOC power. So I'll leave the first 600 part because we are anyway recharging it through generator. So I'll take a sample from the second lot, that is in 600 to 800 plot. So if I say, if I take it from here, the initial acceleration points. So okay, here the green color one is the SOC, battery SOC, blue color one is the vehicle speed, and the red color plot is the motor torque, motor power. Okay, so during the initial acceleration state, where the motor power is greater than 0, we see a drop in SOC from here to here. So when the first deceleration happens, so this is the place where the first deceleration happens. So here the motor torque goes below 0, and this negative torque is okay. When the motor torque goes below 0, the traction motor is converted to generator, and this generator recharges the battery. So we see a rise in the SOC here. So whenever there is an acceleration here, we see a rise in the SOC. So this is the first deceleration part, and this is the second deceleration part. So from here, if you see in this part also, the motor torque goes below zero, and there is a recharge. There is a recharge happening for the battery. And finally, we have come to the final slide where we compare the fuel economy. So the top graph is total fuel consumption, and the bottom graph is average gas mileage. So the red color line is the fuel consumption of the internal combustion engine vehicle, and blue color line is the series hybrid electric vehicle, and I have given the engine speed of series hybrid electric vehicle. So if you see until around 500 seconds, we operate the engine to recharge the battery, and from 500 seconds to 1000 seconds, the engine is off, and only at the last portion the engine is on. So if you see here, for following this NEDC cycle, the internal combustion engine takes around 583 grams of fuel, and series hybrid takes around 450 grams of fuel. And when you see the average gas mileage, the red color is ICE engine, and blue color is series hybrid vehicle here. So if you see here for NEDC cycle, that is 1180 seconds, it takes around 10 kilometers, I think so. So for reaching the 10 kilometers, and in this duration, the series hybrid takes, the mileage of the series hybrid is around 19 kilometer, and IC is around 15 kilometer. So at the end, what we achieve is the improvement of fuel economy is around 30%, when compared to the dynamic empty IC model, so which is powered by gasoline vehicle model. Also, in order to achieve the same target vehicle speed, the series hybrid vehicle consumes around 23% less fuel when compared with the IC vehicle. So that's it from my side. So you can go to the questions.